My name is Steve Grosvenor. I am 49. There's never been a mastersmith in South Dakota, and I'm hoping to be the first. I believe I have found my calling because I love being the caveman, hammerman guy, and that ain't lying.
My name is Ryan Rowe. I am 31 years old. I believe that all of my work has a spirit, has a unique soul. It's almost like birthing a baby. Every baby's gonna come out different.
My name's Mark Green. I'm 61 years old. I woke up the day I had to come here, and I had no voice. But I'm a medieval reenactor, and I make historic weapons from the Viking and Anglo-Saxon era.
My name's Tyler Mangy. I'm a professional farrier. I grew up in the ocean, and I try to surf every day. I've always gone to surf contests, and knife making has turned into the same as to where I want to be better than anybody who's around me.
Bladesmiths, welcome to the Forge. You're here to engage in 3 rounds of edged weapon-making competition, all in the hopes of winning the title of Forged and Fire Champion and a check for $10,000. Let's go ahead and meet your judges now. ABS Mastersmith, Jay Nielsen. Historical Weapons Recreation Specialist, David Baker. Edged Weapons Specialist, Doug Markida. In this first round of competition, you're gonna have to forge your signature blades from this material. Salvage steel.
I am so upset because of all a bunch of junkyard garbage that I know is hard to heat treat and get hard.
We've got bicycle chain, chainsaw chain, cable wire, spud wrench, lawnmower blade, railroad spike, farrier file, and jackhammer bits. You must also include a visual element from whatever steel you choose into your blade's design. The judges need to be able to see what steel was used to make the blade just by looking at it. Keep in mind that in the second round, you'll be putting handles on your blades to turn them into fully functional weapons that will then be tested for strength and durability in an ice block chop and for edge retention in a rope slice. In an order chosen at random before you entered the forge, you will now come forward and choose one of the steels. Each item can only be selected by one contestant.
As a farrier, I'd like to work with the farrier's rasps. I hope nobody wants those.
Ryan, you're up first. Please choose your steel.
I have free reign over anything on that table. I chose the jackhammer bits because in terms of edge retention, they take a lot of abuse, and I don't think I have anything to worry about in terms of heat treating it.
Mark, you're up next.
He took my damn rasps.
Tyler, you're up next.
I had no backup plan at all. So I grabbed something that looked like a knife already, the spud wrench. Ugh.
Steve, you're last. Choose your steel.
I was hoping for cable, even though cable is very difficult to work with. I've used it before, so at least I got a shot.
You will have 10 minutes to work on your designs. You will have 3 hours to forge your blades. Good luck, bladesmiths. Your 10-minute design window starts now. Let's talk about that visual element that lets us know what reclaimed material they used.
This is one of those things that we really have to plan ahead. You can't just wing it because you can just go into knife-making mode and totally grind out whatever visual element you were supposed to have.
I'm designing a recurve bolo-style blade because the bolo design, a little bit heavy on the front end for chopping that's tapered back into a nice thin cutting knife. I've recently completed my journeyman bladesmith rating. I feel a lot more comfortable in my skills. That's all the stamp. They just give you the stamp and right away you have the skills.
Because I picked the spud wrench, I'm going to make a Tonto blade. The spud wrench is already in the shape of the Tonto, and I'm going to keep the profile that it came with. I know exactly what part of the wrench I'm going to incorporate into my blade, the little turning knob deal, for lack of a better term.
I think my biggest strength in blade making is my knowledge of historical blades. So I'm designing a straight-up broad axe. The rasp is probably the most simple thing to keep the element in the blade. I don't get nervous about things very often. I think the thing that made me the most nervous was losing my voice.
I'm going to make a drop point recurve blade. I am an artist, and the advantage I think I might have is my artistic ability and being able to see clean lines and make a really beautiful blade. Growing up, I was told that you shouldn't be an artist, and I would make myself prove to them that they're wrong.
Your 10-minute design window is closed. Your 3-hour forge time starts now.
Aside from the cable, is there anybody here that needs to forge weld their material?
Needs to? No. Should? Yeah. Forge welding will ensure you'll have enough material to meet the parameters and be able to stand up to the strength test. It's very nice to see Steve just welding the ends of his cable, because we've seen what happens when you don't. He'll just unspool and come apart in pieces. Working with cable can be difficult, but he was smart to pick it, because if he forge welds it correctly, he'll have a very tough material.
A piece of cable this large takes more effort and more time to get forge welded up successfully. Cable is dirty, nasty stuff. To get a good weld, it needs to be clean. I can add a little flux, I can wire brush it, and then start tightening it and just start working on that weld. If I don't get it welded up, I don't have a knife at the end. It's that simple.
The first thing I do is try to cut off the excess part of the wrench that I didn't want to incorporate into the handle.
I think Tyler's trying to take off the entire jaw section,
I think so.
leaving the adjustable lug in place.
We got a chop saw. Some people like to work harder than they need to.
The hardest thing about this challenge is being unfamiliar with the steel.
I like Ryan is testing pieces of his steel.
Yes.
He's checked it with a file a couple times to see how it hardens up.
When I file test, it bites a little bit. It means that it may not hold a really good edge. So I'm going to have to put some love and care into this blade. And if I have to do multiple quenches, then so be it.
I believe my calm under fire is probably my best attribute. I feel like I have plenty of time. I'm not worried about the clock at all.
Looks good. Looks good.
Mark's got the free time to wander around and check out what everybody else is doing.
I know.
They're all great guys, and I wish all of them luck, but I have to win.
You have just 2 hours remaining to finish your work.
Thanks, Will.
I look over at Big Blue, and he's just crying my name. He's like, come over and use me, please. Just step on my pedal.
That steel tapers very quickly to a very acute point. Will he have enough steel to make a 10 to 12-inch blade out of just one of those wrenches?
He can, but it's going to be pretty lean. Forge welding 2 of those wrenches together would be a safer bet.
I got the handle pretty much drawn out to where I can grind on it, and now I need to work on tapering out the blade and moving all the mass that's down towards the handle forward to my Tonto shape that I have going on.
This is the lady I'm taking to the dance, and she looks good.
So Steve's got his billet over on Big Blue, and it looks like it's holding together from here.
I'm confident that I have completed the most important part of this task, the forge weld. Now I have a working piece that I can continue my drawing process.
I clean up my blade and make it look all pretty. And I've incorporated the knob part of the jackhammer bit inside of the blade tang junction.
He quenched it in water. I don't know what's happening.
He didn't dip in water. He was just screwing with it.
He's teasing us. He's teasing us.
He just wanted to see my head pop.
Yep.
It is very nice to know the judges were paying attention.
The broad axe has a spear tip point, so I do a Japanese tip cut.
Mark, he's got a very, very lean blade, and those Ferris wraps are rounded at the end. It's very easy to draw a tip out of that. Instead, he cut a preform, so he's lost even more material. So when he gets to the grinder, he likely won't have much material left.
I would venture to say that Mark's forging on that was the absolute minimum he could possibly do.
Yeah, and without reforging that metal entirely, you won't know exactly how strong it is.
You have just 60 minutes remaining to finish your work.
I'm way ahead of where I thought I was going to be. So I'm going to quench my blade.
There we go. Tyler just quenched.
I come out of the oil, take the file to it. It's soft. I need to go a little higher with the temperature.
Back in.
Tyler not satisfied with his blade's hardness, and he's gone right back into the forge.
No big deal, right? People quench 2-3 times all the time.
Tyler pulls out of the oil so quickly, let the blade cool a little bit.
But still soft.
Tyler back into the forge. He'll be going for quench number 3.
He's putting more and more stress every single quench on that edge.
If I don't get this blade apart, I'll get sent home.
Something's going wrong with Tyler over here. He's not liking the hardness of his blade. This is the 3rd quench for Tyler.
I'm having a moment of self-doubt. It's not getting as hard as I thought it would.
I don't know if it's just biting off the oil or the whole thing seems soft to me.
Doesn't sound as hard as it should be.
And I'm gonna keep quenching until I get a hardened blade.
He's putting more and more stress every single quench on that edge.
Steve just quenched.
My question to you is, what does Steve have to do to make sure that we see cable on his blade?
You can take a piece of that cable, wrap it around a ricasso or something like that.
To ensure the fact that it is a knife made from cable, I add cable bolsters. Now there is no doubt that this knife is cable.
Look at Ryan showing a lot of patience.
He's doing thermal cycling, so that's good.
We've got Ryan there in the quench.
I file test it and realize only the top third of my blade is hardened. I'm gonna have to take a chance and quench again and pray that this thing hardens up pretty good.
The quench is the most important aspect of making a blade because before that, it's nothing but a piece of metal. I file tested. First time, quench is good.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bladesmith, shut down your machines. Return your anvils. Your work is done.
The bolsters at the end were kind of a let's wing it deal. We'll see what the judges say. I'm hoping that I hit the challenge requirements and they move right on over me to the next guy.
I'm looking at all these beautiful blades, and I'm like, gosh, I'm the guy that made the toothpick.
Bladesmiths, you've had the last 3 hours to forge signature blades in your signature style using salvaged materials of your own choosing. Now it's time for the judges to see if you've selected your materials wisely. Steve, you're up first.
You went with cable, which is a big risk over to get it all welded together.
You did a good job forge welding that cable up. I like your overall design. One thing, though, is your tang is out of alignment with your blade. But that's still something you could go back and correct. Overall, I think you did a very nice job.
Mark, you're up.
Mark, I get the feeling here that you kind of went the safe route on this one. Didn't seem to spend a lot of time at the forge, more time at the grinder. This is very lean.
I like the fact that, your edge is nice and straight. There's a little bit of a warp on the back here, but all in all, I think it's going to be a heck of a cutter.
Ryan, you're up.
I like the shape of your blade. I like what you did over here by making that the integral part of your blade to represent what you chose.
Brian, you got a lot of material here.
Yes, sir.
I like the aspect that you have such a thick spine. I was hoping that you would draw more material down, but overall, nicely done.
Tyler, please present your work to the judges.
Well, Tyler, first up, you went for 8 quenches, I believe. The record is 9. Just missed it. There is a warp that is very visible with your blade. But overall, I like the shape, and I love the way you worked on your handle to represent the material you worked with.
These lines do worry me some. I'm not sure if these are stress fractures or marks from your file test. Some of them are going in the direction you were filing, but some of them aren't. So I kind of worry that there are some stress problems with this blade.
Well, bladesmiths, the judges need to decide who's going home. You'll leave your blades here, and please step off the forge floor.
That was intense.
It was.
All right, judges, our bladesmiths have turned in their work. Is there a blade on this table that is absolutely moving forward, no questions asked?
Yes.
Which blade is that?
Steve.
Steve. Okay, we're gonna start with Ryan's blade.
I like Ryan's blade. Lining up the tang and the blade evenly through this bolster guard section is very tricky. You needed a really nice job on it.
Oh gosh, here we go.
Skate's nice.
Okay, let's move on to Tyler's blade there on the end, please.
We have all that crazing, that pimpling from the forge. That's kind of neat when you do it intentionally. When it's not intentional, you're burning your metal.
Well, you're talking about intentional. I mean, this was originally supposed to be a straight blade. And because of overheating, he ended up pulling a curve into it accidentally. Oh, it's definitely leaving marks. Yeah, it's not skating. So I think this blade got burned up. I think that's where we're seeing all this crazing and stuff. And it's just catching all the way down.
Let's move on to Mark's blade.
Very slight warp, but the bottom line is he played it very safe, and in doing so, was able to meet all the parameters. But is safe good enough? Did Mark really forge this blade?
This drives me crazy. The tip is not profiled cleanly, but he had plenty of time to fix that. If you're not going to forge the tip in correctly,
At least
then
address it.
at least profile it on the grinder. And as far as I'm concerned, that's unfinished.
Here comes your file test.
It's hard and it skates.
Gentlemen, it's time for one of you to leave the forge. Tyler, your blade did not make the cut.
Tyler, the heart and soul of the blade is the heat treat. When we foul checked your blade, the blade bit in, so the edge is not properly hardened. So that's why we're gonna have to let you go.
Yeah.
Tyler, please surrender your blade.
I would love to have kept going, but I'm very proud of the fact that I actually finished something. This is a very humbling experience. I'm gonna go put everything into trying to get better. I hope that maybe I'd be welcome to come back here and show people how talented I really am.
Congratulations, bladesmiths. You've made it through the first round of this competition. In this round, you'll be taking your tempered blades and turning them into fully functional weapons by placing handles on them. One additional stipulation is that you must include a lanyard hole. You will have 3 hours in this round. Keep in mind, once the time runs out, your blades will be tested for strength and durability in an ice block chop and for edge retention in a rope slice. Good luck, bladesmiths. Your 3 hour starts now. Any bladesmith that comes to this competition thinking that fit and finish doesn't matter has got another thing coming.
Plan for my handle is to use a multicolored G10 with a laminated piece of carbon fiber.
He's got to adjust that tang so it lines up the blade.
He should definitely do that before worrying about that handle.
It's important to get the sandwich of the scales cleaned, prepped, glued, so I have good, solid cure time before I really start grinding and inducing heat.
Smells wonderful, doesn't it? The plan for my handle is to do a stacking method using brass, buffalo horn, and linen micarta. I am an artist and I have the eye for detail.
Using a little bit of brass, it's a nice transition piece as opposed to using just the synthetic material.
Jay, what about Ryan's blade? Is there some prep work that has to be done on that?
I'd like to see him thin that blade out somewhat because I'm worried about the edge geometry of being able to go through the rope.
3 hours seems like a lot of time, but normally at home I'll spend a week making a handle for a blade. I choose some really pretty burl that I saw and some horn that looked relatively solid.
So I would venture to say that Mark, to make up for his lack of brilliance in the first round, is going for a multi-piece construction on a handle in the second.
You want to see these smiths bring their A game to these competitions, but they're running the risk of playing much more than they can chew in 3 hours.
1 hour down, only 2 to go.
Well, Steve's over here doing the dual propane torch technique that we rarely have witnessed in this forge.
Most smiths can only afford one torch.
The vise is going to act as a heat sink to keep the heat away from my cutting edge. I don't want to get crazy hot, but I need enough heat into it that I could safely flex it and be able to get it to stay where I was bending it. Since that's still warm, I have to drill 3 holes in this tang. One rather large hole for the lanyard and 2 pin stock holes.
I stacked all my materials and I'm ready to glue it all together. Once I get the handle all packed and glued and everything, make sure my fit is okay, I'm gonna go ahead and let the glue dry for about 5 minutes.
Oh, that's gonna be a mess.
This reminds me of when I used to eat glue in kindergarten.
Explains a lot.
All right, we're gonna give that a second to dry. So once I glue it all together, I look over my competitors and I feel I am out ahead a little bit.
We talked about how the edge geometry on this blade needs to be corrected in order to not only withstand the ice, but also to cut through a rope. I don't understand what's happening right now.
You can still be working on the details of that blade while the glue dries.
Yeah, buddy. Having fun.
I'm just trying to get the holes cut through. I can get them on a tang, get them glued up.
In this competition, we have not seen Mark move like a fireball yet. He's got a lot of work to do.
I start drilling my centerpiece of horn. I'm on the last hole. Snap, it breaks in half. I feel like a ton of bricks falls on me.
Okay, so Mark has just broken some of his handle material.
I feel like a ton of bricks falls on me. I go get another piece. I start drilling again. I just gotta carry on and try to finish before the time's up.
2 hours has elapsed. You have just 60 minutes remaining to finish your work.
I still have to put a lanyard hole in, but I am not worried about that. So first, I gotta make sure that I do something that impresses the judges.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and carve this piece of buffalo horn out, put it in here as a little inlay, cap it off.
I want to show the judges exactly what I like to do in terms of my artistry and what I like to put into my blade.
Doug, are you confused by this construction?
I sure am. Just because you're looking at the material, he's got too many layers there. How is he gonna form that?
So far, everything's looking good. Lining up nice. I always gotta make it pretty.
I'm happy with the outside profile on the handle. Now I gotta get an edge on this thing. I'm gearing it towards the ice chop. I've never chopped ice with a knife, but I'm looking forward to seeing things fly.
I finally get my handle glued together. I'm looking at the clock. I'm running out of time.
I'm starting to worry a little bit about Mark. He still doesn't have a lanyard hole in his handle.
I have to get that pommel on. So I just mixed up some glue and stuck it on.
2 minutes, bladesmiths. You only have 2 minutes remaining to finish your work.
And then I remember I need to finish the lanyard hole. But I'm pretty much out of time.
30 seconds. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bladesmiths, secure your blades and return to your anvils. This round is over.
My biggest concern going into testing is that my edge may possibly roll a little bit, but I guess we'll just have to see.
Smiths, welcome to the strength test, the ice block chop. I'm gonna take each of your knives and strike these ice blocks 6 times. This is gonna test the strength of your edge, as well as the overall durability of your knife. Steve, you're up first. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
I'm feeling confident that the knife will perform well. I know it's heavy enough. It's rock solid.
Edge is perfect. Didn't roll over, didn't chip out. The handle is a little bit narrow, but it held up. Good job.
Thank you.
Ryan, you ready?
Do I have a choice?
No, not really.
All yours. I would compare this blade to probably a Ferrari, but I wouldn't want to lend my Ferrari to Jay Nielsen. Good God.
Held up, Ryan. Still got a really, really sharp edge on there. My concern is the handle. Having this integral chunk here, immediately just want to reach up and grab it up here. That's not where you want it, because you don't want it so close to the edge there. Mark, what you thinking?
I'm ready to rock.
Mark, you held up. You got a little bit of edge deformation. It's nothing major. There's definitely some issues on the handle. I mean, you've got a guard on here, but it's not all the way up. That's why it's nice to have a ricasso here, so it makes it easier to fit the guard up without all this gapping here. Next up is a sharpness test. For that, I'm gonna turn you over to Doug.
That was fun to watch your blades go up against the ice. But are they still sharp? I will take your weapon, and I'll deliver 3 slices on this rope. Steve, you're up first. You ready?
Let's do this.
All right, Steve, it wouldn't cut all the way through the rope, but it is sharp enough to lacerate some of the strands. So overall, your knife will cut.
Thank you.
Ryan, you're next. You ready?
All yours, buddy.
Wow. I don't see any deformations on the blade. It stayed true. It did slice some pieces of the rope, so it is sharp, and your blade will cut.
Thank you, sir.
Mark, you're up. You ready?
Let's do it.
Ryan's rope slice went about the same as Steve's. That didn't help my confidence at all because I thought both their edges were better than mine.
We got it.
I'm thinking my blade's gonna bounce off the rope. I'm nervous as hell, and I'm really thinking I'm screwed.
Nice.
Your edge geometry definitely works better on a rope cut. It's sliced in deeper. Overall, your blade will cut.
Thank you.
But on your handle construction, there's a lot of gaps I can see. You can see the glue all over, so it's not as finished as the other blades. And it's only held together by glue.
Regardless of my handle, I'm thinking I'm running even, simply because my test performances were better than the other contestants.
Bladesmiths, it's time for one of you to leave the forge. Mark, your blade did not make the cut. Jay Nielsen will explain.
Mark, aside from being the only blade to suffer damage during our testing, we also felt that your blade was the least finished of the three. So for those reasons, we have to let you go.
Mark, please surrender your blade.
My blade was not as finished as it should be. Yeah, I tried right to the last second, but I ran out of time. I may not be a Forged in Fire champion, but I'm definitely the quietest Forged in Fire competitor.
Steve, Ryan, congratulations. You have forged your way into the final round of this competition. In the first 2 rounds, you came to our forge and used our tools and equipment to forge signature blades out of salvaged steel. Now we're sending you back to your home forges where you will recreate an iconic weapon from history. That weapon is the Charret. The history of the Charret sword is deeply tied to the violent history of the Khyber Pass, which separates Afghanistan and Pakistan. The sharp, single-edged blade was a key asset of the Afridi tribe. The Charret had devastating consequences for the Afridi's enemies because it could pierce through armor. The distinctive T shape of the spine gives extra strength to the Charret's razor-sharp blade. The blade must include a T-back spine and a metal bolster.
It's a very familiar shape to me, but I start looking a little closer, and it's a complex design of a small package.
After 5 days, you'll return and present your charrets to our panel of expert judges. Only after they've put your weapon through a series of brutal tests will they declare one of you the Forged in Fire champion. Good luck, bladesmiths.
The Charret is going to be difficult to build. I had a lot of hand tooling that I've never done before, but I love a challenge. I am taking a risk on making it Damascus. It's going to make the piece look nicer. They hold an excellent edge. It's very tough, but I could be building problems into it by having an inclusion or just a poor weld.
I'm hoping to get 3 full draws and flips, you know.
The challenging part of the process is it's very monotonous. Draw it out, clean it, fold it, draw it out, clean it, fold it. But all the welds are very clean. There's no delamination. There's no blisters. I mean, everything looks really good at this point.
Feels great being back here in nice sunny Jacksonville, Florida. My day one goal is to actually get this blade forged. The only thing I'm really concerned about is getting the T-back of the spine correct. I'm going to create this T-spine by forging in fuller grooves. Getting that correct is very crucial. Not good. Problem is I put a little bit too much pressure and it looks like it's squished through. It's too thin and I got a little bit of daylight showing in there, so I am gonna have to start over.
I was able to finish up the layering. I got the overall dimensions forged out. but I've never forged a T into a spine before.
If I was in an Afghan desert, this is probably how I would have to do this.
So I drew everything over length and then just started to upset that spine, bringing it out in the shape of a T.
I think it's working great. I made a nice even T there.
Went way quicker than I thought it would. It allowed me to get to the quench today. Seems like everything went well, but as I was trying to pull it out, boom.
After yesterday having to trash my blade, I really need to get this blade done today. So far, so good. Looking pretty awesome. Forging in this T-joint is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. So today I'm using my other option, which is the grinding wheel. This is very crucial. I really can't afford to have to do this blade over again. As I'm grinding in the T, I noticed that it's standing out way better than I ever thought. I can control it a lot better. Everything's getting a lot lighter, and I am very happy at this point.
When I was quenching, obviously the blade fell, but I got lucky. Everything's fine, so I'd like to get through some testing early this morning. Failure during testing here would give me only 14, 15 hours to build a complete char A, so I don't need a failure here. Oh, yeah. Ate that up, absolutely no problem.
This blade looks extremely sexy. Now I'm just gonna concentrate on doing my handle scales, inlays, cleaning up the blade a lot more. And I decided that I want to carve a wolf head in the front of it just to kind of set it apart, make it stand out. My wolf looks badass. The blade's sharp, the blade's strong. It's time to test it. All right, here we go. It's pretty good. There's no edge damage or anything. Just bring it on, man. Do whatever you want to do. Awesome.
Steve, Ryan, welcome back, and welcome to the gun range. As you can imagine, if we're here, we're planning on doing some pretty brutal things to your blades. But before that, Steven, how did it go at your home forge?
You know, it was a challenge. That T back, thank you for that. You can't grind your bevels with that T hanging out over the side, so I kind of had to relearn how to make a knife.
All right, Ryan, how'd it go for you, your home forge?
Oh, it was crazy. Used good old 5160 and did a little bit of Damascus for the handle.
Well, gentlemen, up first, the kill test. Doug?
Bladesmiths, the Charret was a weapon known to be light, fast, and sharp. To see what kind of lethal damage your weapon can do, I will take a Charret and deliver slashes and stabs on this ballistics dummy. Steve, you're up first. You ready?
Absolutely.
Let's do this.
That ballistic dummy, they're incredibly tough, but I'm hoping that it performs as well as I think it should. Wow.
Well, Steve, I like the Damascus pattern. And overall, it's got a great fit and finish. Your edge definitely lacerated. It even cut into the rib. On the slash, it lacerates and has a deep thrust. It allows me to disembowel this ballistics dummy. Your blade, sir, will kill.
Thank you.
Ryan, you're next. You ready?
Yeah, man.
Well, Ryan, let's talk about your blade. For Charret, it is heavy, but it's sharp enough to lacerate and dig in, and the thrust allows for the laceration out. Your blade, sir, will kill. Up next is the sharpness test. For that, Dave?
All right, gentlemen, now to test the sharpness of your blade, I'll be cutting through these racks of sugarcane, forehand and backhand. What I want to see is a clean cut with very little resistance to that blade. Steve, you're up first. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, well, it felt good cutting with this. You can see these first cuts very clean. The second cut, I kind of blew through this one. You can actually see where the T-back smacked that sucker. Now, that's typical of this shaped blade. Well done.
Thank you.
All right, Ryan, you're up. You ready for this?
Do me proud. This thing is sharp, so I'm expecting clean slices all the way through the sugar canes.
So, Ryan, first off, there's a lot of weight in this blade. That T-back is there to take weight out. But everything's still right and tight. It obviously cut pretty well. Cut two of these canes, kind of just mashed that one out of the way, but you can see the cut in there is clean. I like the decorative pieces. You know, this wolf's head here. All in all, she's a cutter. It's definitely sharp. All right, gentlemen, next up, the strength test. It's the bullet test. So let's clear the range and get this set.
We're at the gun range. Of course, they're gonna shoot bullets at our swords. I can't wait to see what happens.
Now, we've got your blade, Steve, locked into a vise. We're gonna fire one round right at that edge. If everything's good, should split that bullet fine. You ready for this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
45 caliber, 230 grain slug, traveling at 800 feet per second, impacting with 430 foot-pounds of force on a tiny, tiny little area. I'm pretty nervous.
3, 2, 1, fire.
Oh, look at that. So Dave removes it from the vise, does a quick examination. He takes a good look at it, and I'm starting to get a little nervous. Is he, is he seeing something?
Well, you still got an edge there. You can actually see right where the bullet spun down the side of that blade. You see where it caught the T-back on that side? But I think you made a beautiful piece here, and it certainly held up in that test.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Ryan, you're up. Are you ready for this?
Let's do it.
3, 2, 1, fire.
Damn.
All right, Ryan, I don't see any damage at all. That bullet painted your blade pretty good. Didn't touch the T-back on this side, kind of caught a little bit on that side. But all in all, there's 0 edge damage there. Nicely done.
Thank you, sir. Testing's over. I'm feeling pretty good, but at the same time, Steve did well, so we're pretty much neck and neck. It's up to the judges at this point to make the final decision.
Bladesmiths, these decisions are always tough, but the judges have made one. There can only be one Forged in Fire champion in this arena of competition, and that champion is Steve. Congratulations, you are the Forged in Fire champion.
Thank you.
Ryan, unfortunately, your blade did not make the cut. Jay Nielsen will explain.
During the testing, both of your knives performed equally, and they did fantastic. So it came down to the smaller details, the fit, finish, symmetry. Ryan, your blade, there's waves on the surface, on the T-back, on the spine. The big thing, though, is extremely heavy weapon, way more so than Steve's. And for those reasons, that's why they're gonna let you go.
Understandable.
Ryan, I have to ask you, please surrender your weapon.
Forged in Fire champion would have meant the world to me, but you just really have to be on your A game. You know, no matter what it takes, you just got to pull out all the stops. You got to make sure, look at the finer details, and that's what it takes to win this.
Steve, congratulations. You are the Forged in Fire champion, and that's a title that comes with $10,000. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Steve, your blade was light, well-constructed, and it did wonderfully in the tests. And also the fact this is the first time you've done a T-back, it makes it that much more impressive. Well done.
I am a Forged in Fire champion.
Yay!
I came here to prove that I can compete with some of the best smiths in the world and beat them, and I did just that.